score don't show what you played for 3 quarters. Okay? Now listen to me. All we got to do is get back on the grind. I tell you every week, we're going to get better as the weeks progress. And we're going to get better and better. But I'm going to have every bit of your effort when we start up Monday.
And welcome into the very first edition of the Lincoln Playbook for the class of 2014. It's a brand new season. We're in with second-year head coach Brad Walls of the Lincoln Golden Bears. And Coach, it's good to be with you for another season of the Lincoln Playbook. And Coach, first off, we'll talk about the way everything panned out in week 1 in just a moment. But first, talk about opening up a new season in 2014.
Well, I mean, this season has been a lot of fun to me. It kind of all started back in November of last year.
Right.
We rededicated ourselves into the weight program, conditioning, and these kids have really bought into our system, and I'm real excited about this season. I know this past Friday night wasn't what we wanted,
right,
but we will eventually get exactly what we want on the field as far as our technical parts of it, and we'll fix all our little small mistakes.
You opened up the season at home against Pell City. We'll view the highlights of that game in just a little bit, but first, you were a Lincoln Golden Bear as a player. You know, you graduated from Lincoln. Talk about opening up the season, all the anticipation, all the hype surrounding around the school. School just opened up a couple of weeks ago, and you opened up your first game at home at Keith Howard Memorial.
I tell you what, the second year has been a lot of fun.
Right.
I mean, it's number one. I think kids buying into my system and knowing that I'm gonna be around and knowing that they can trust on and lean on me when they need me to, and. Just having that part of it's kind of relaxed me a little bit because
right.
I've been trying to reach out to these kids and they've really bought into our system and really bought into the way we coach and they know we're hard nosed and we're going to correct them when they need to be corrected.
Right.
So, this season's been a lot of fun and our coming back home. I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
I mean, this was my dream job.
Absolutely. You open up the schedule with a 6A team. Talk about your schedule overall. You know, you obviously moved into a different classification in Class 5A. We'll get into that towards the end of the show. But you also scheduled yourself a pretty tough game to begin the season out with a tough Pell City squad. Yes,
sir. I mean, we had a hard-nosed scrimmage first off with Welborn. Mm-hmm. I mean, that wasn't a slacker of game.
Right.
And then we roll into the next week and we've got Pell City.
Right.
And I mean, we're facing 2 dominant teams year in, year out that are going to go to the playoffs, that are going to work hard, and it's challenged us this year. Mm-hmm. And that's what I kind of wanted on the schedule. I kind of wanted us to understand, hey, we're in big boy football now.
Right.
We're in 5A ball. And I just wanted to see where we were as a team after 1 year, and I really think our kids responded very well.
Talk about the dynamics of this team. Seniors that you have on this team will meet a senior a little bit later on. Also, the junior class and the freshman class, the way that they all kind of work together.
Our senior group right now, I mean, they're great. They're phenomenal leaders. So I'm not going to say great. They're phenomenal.
Right.
Because I mean, they're at the point right now where they don't want to fail.
Right.
And we don't want them to fail. And the thing about it, and I know we're going to get to the game after a while, but the thing I heard from most of my seniors after the game was, hey, we're going to get this thing corrected on Monday.
Yeah.
And that's what I hadn't heard since I've been there. And
right.
I enjoy these. I enjoy the way these seniors are leading these guys. Now our juniors and sophomores, they're working just as hard. I've got a bunch of sophomores actually starting on the varsity level right now. So I mean, we said we were young last year. We're still pretty young this year. So
absolutely, absolutely. We'll meet some of the members of the team. We'll meet one of the members of the senior class coming up a little bit later. Also a little bit later, we'll have first half highlights. We want to tell you that the Lincoln Playbook cannot be done without our sponsors. One of our chief sponsors this year is Luxury Auto Parts. Our friends over there at Luxury Auto Parts have been in business for 15 years. Lee McLean is the owner of the business, has over 20 years of experience in the car business. They sell wrecked cars, also any parts that you need. The parts on the yard are over 50 acres. They also have ready-to-go cars at their LA auto location in Lincoln, Alabama. Call 205-763-1084 or 1-888-589-PARTS. You can also visit them online at luxuryautoparts.com. We're especially thankful for our friends at Luxury Auto Parts for sponsoring the Lincoln Playbook. This show returns. First half highlights with Coach Wallace after the break. playing for the Lincoln Playbook. Lincoln Golden Bears facing Pell City as Class 6A in the opening game. And Coach, first off, talk about just the season openers and getting everything off started.
Man, we came into the stadium and it was like a playoff atmosphere. We had a full house Friday night. That's a great hit by one of our seniors, Mario Howard, and KJ Collins coming up on. It was the second play of the ball game actually. We had a little busted coverage right here. These guys, we put a lot on them this week because of Pell City's offense. I mean, it's so versatile. We had to change up a little bit of what we do as far as coverage wise, and we had some miscues at the beginning, but we settled in later on.
Yeah, you guys were starting off on the defensive side of the football and got a big turnover here.
Yes, sir. I mean, that was a big spot right there for our D. I mean, they were grinding. They were actually being really physical with these guys. And, I mean, that's a 6A ball team we're playing against, and we come up with a fumble right as they're going in. That's sticking them well with our helmets.
And then these guys, it seemed to me that most of what they were trying to do was along the outside the numbers.
They tried outside the number. They wore us down toward the end of the ball game, which we'll get to that in a minute. That was a great play by Devontae Whiteside on the goal line, breaking up the pass, trying to get it in. And then we caused another fumble here, which gave us momentum to get us back down the field a little bit. We just had a few miscues on our offense right at the beginning of the game. That's one of our seniors, Jamalka Baker. Actually, he got released Thursday to play. And so he came in and kind of helped us out. He's been in having some shorts for I guess about 2 or 3 weeks with a dislocated elbow, but he came out there and worked hard to help us out Friday night.
Get the ball back after the punt there, go back to the outside. Now they kind of run the football.
Oh man, I mean they have a fullback that he brings it when he comes down here. We were having a little trouble with him at the beginning of the game. We set it. I mean, I think it was a little bit of pregame jitters. We've got a bunch of guys in different positions where they were last year, and just getting kind of comfortable in their surroundings.
One of the biggest things, differences when you have in a 6A school like that, it's a lot of you guys have to go both ways.
Yeah, I mean, with all five, I mean, we're one of the smallest 5As in the state of Alabama, and we're having to play a lot of players both ways, and we're not as deep as in depth as most people are, but we've been working on our conditioning, and we've been trying to hold up with these teams, because eventually when we get to the playoffs, we're going to play some bigger 5A teams is what we've got in mind. So we're going to have to work on getting ourselves in shape and being able to play 4 quarters both ways.
Absolutely. It seems like turnovers here were a big part of the game, and one of the things that these guys have to look for the football and stick to it.
Yes, sir. And a lot of times they were sticking the helmets right on the ball, and that's what we taught them to practice. And right there, Big D going over the edge, he fights his way into the end zone. I mean, that's just showing how much heart these kids want. They want to play this game. So
absolutely, the extra point here is good, making it a 7-6 lead. And you guys carry a lead, and then you get after another turnover here towards the end of the first half to carry a lead and some momentum into the break.
Boy, our defense bailed us out a lot of times right here in the first half, and we needed to counteract and get on top and try to produce some points out of it. And we just didn't, and that was one of the things that we wanted to try to do for this next ball game.
Absolutely, 7-6 is your first half score. Lincoln with the early lead over Pell City. When we talk, obviously, when you go with the first game, a lot of times it's kind of hard to judge what they're going to do because you don't have as much film to really break down of what they do. Is what they ran kind of more along your expectations? They kind of throw some different wrinkles at you?
They threw a few wrinkles at us. They got into a little bit of wing tee set on us. I think that carried over a little bit from the Welborn game. I think they saw a little bit of tape on that and gave us a few fits. And the main thing is football all boils down to blocking, tackling,
right,
and hanging on to the football. And we got to work on 2 of those things right now, and it'll be a different ball game.
When you looked at everything that happened in the first half, and you talked about there were some miscues on the defense, especially on the backhand side, you cleaned those up a little bit. You got 3 turnovers, jarred the ball loose a few times. What were some of the things you were saying to the guys at the halftime as far as adjustments for us?
First off, I came up to the guys and I said, we're playing a 6A team and you're winning.
Yeah.
I said, you feel good about yourself right now. Now let's put the zeros on the board and let's get back to work in the second half. I mean, this game is going to be a full quarter war, and the biggest change-ups. I mean, we had a few things on offense that we could see that weren't working for us right then. So we just kind of made some adjustments on it and helped our offensive line out in the second half.
When you guys entered this season, you entered with a new quarterback. You go from Chance Bird to Zay Caldwell. Obviously, the offense is going to work a little bit differently with every kind of quarterback. But talk about the way the offense flowed.
Our offense. I mean, we're still not hitting on all 8 cylinders right now. But I think a little bit of it is just the mental aspect of it. I mean, they say football is 90% mental, 10% physical.
Right.
And we've got to get the mental part of it taken care of this week. And I think that's a little bit of what messed up our offense. But I'm gonna tell you. I mean, Zay Caldwell, he's a leader. He's a fighter. I mean, he just wants to win in everything he does, and the thing that we've got to do is just keep him poised all the way through the game.
Right. We talked about the defense, talk about the offense, talk about the special teams, kind of what you saw there in the first half.
I tell you what, we've got a great, phenomenal kicker, Mason McLean, and he came up to me after the ball game and he said, "Coach," he said, "I promise you those punts are going to be a lot better than what they were." I mean, he was averaging 40 yards then, so I was like, man, it's going to be a great year with the punts. But he kicked out all his balls on kickoff out of the end zone, and so I mean, we've got a phenomenal special teams going right now, and we've got to capitalize on some of that stuff.
Absolutely. 7-6 is your score in the first half at Keith Howard Memorial Stadium. Lincoln with the lead, as Coach said, over a 6A school like Pell City. 7-6 coming up in the next segment. We'll have second half highlights and the final score. But first, the ears at Keith Howard Memorial Stadium, and now yours. We'll get to hear the Lincoln Marching Band playing in their first halftime show of the 2014 season. Enjoy.
Well, I mean, as a head coach, you want to go punch it in right at the second half. I really thought we had some momentum going with our offense, and we had a miscue right there with our snap as we were high and Mason bobbed a little bit. And we tried to run and get the first down. We worked on that this week. We got a little fire call that we can lay out and help Mason out a little bit. But it kind of got us in the bind. We're on the 40 going in, and of course that puts the defense backs to the wall, and we're coming into the ball game. I guess not as fresh as what they were at that time because of the rotation. But I mean, we had some miscues, of course. And
Lincoln 7.
As the game progresses. Yeah, I mean, they end up scoring and then they took out the version and really come right back and punch in the mouth and the next drive. I mean, that pass that you just saw, I mean, if he'd just taken about 2 steps more in the infield, I mean, inside the sideline, he would have been in the end zone for sure. I mean, he's got the wheels to get you there. For sure. And then they get the ball back, and you did a pretty good job once again of drawing that ball loose in this position where you get to a point where they actually had a touchdown called back. You didn't see it there in the highlights, but you end up holding them to a field goal, which is pretty big at this point. Yes, sir. I mean, we still got that.
3:43.
We make an error right here. This is what the special teams, and this kind of hurts us right here. They break it over right over where there's a hole right in our kick return. And we actually thought the ball was going to go out of bounds, and it landed like 2 foot inside the right line.
Right. And you saw Big John Hayes Johnson with the sack there, and then it looks like right here, 4th down, you get a big stop.
Right, man. Big hit by Zay, big hit by Mario. We're still working on the team out here, trying to get something to happen. The train is starting to wear down, and this right here, I mean, you can see the train starting to set
ball back and they drive down the field. It was one of those situations where they drove down, but you made them eat a lot of clock and have a lot of plays.
That's right. Well, we always tell our defense, bend that break. Right. And that's what basically that's what we're trying to do against the 6-0 powerhouse. We're just trying to bend and not break, and hopefully you get something, make something happen as they're coming down the field. They went ahead and put it in.
And then it seemed in the fourth quarter, obviously here he's just trying to play. He's trying his best to kill this next play.
He's just trying to get it down the field. He's a competitor. And trying to get ready for him to get started on Monday.
You said it at the top of the show, the score does not indicate the way this game played out. Take a couple of plays out of there, and you saw in the third and fourth quarter there that you guys were right there in it. Even though it was 30-7, the final score is not really indicative of the game.
Well, you take away some of our mistakes, and that's what's been lingering on us for the last 2 years is we make some mental errors in games. I was talking to you earlier about we had 145 yards worth of penalties on the offense, and I mean you take that away from our offense, and who knows? We may be putting ball in more.
For sure. The Lincoln Playbook will return, but first, one of our proud sponsors of the Lincoln Playbook is the Lincoln Booster Club. The Booster Club is proud to support the Lincoln Golden Bear football program. They wish Coach Wallace and his staff and players the best of luck this season. Lincoln is, of course, a close-knit, hard-working community, and the Booster Club is a great reflection of the community as a whole. They meet each Monday evening at 6:30 p.m. at Rick's Crossroads Cafe. Any prospective member is welcome to attend. The cafe is located at the intersection of Highway 77 and 78 up on the hill. The Lincoln Booster Club also supports all the sports, not just football, all the sports at Lincoln High School. Back with the Lincoln Playbook and senior running back Jamario Howard after the break. And welcome back into the Lincoln Playbook. Coach Wallace and I are joined by one of the captains of the team, one of the leaders of this football team, Jamario Howard. Jamario plays running back, a little bit of defensive back. He also wrestles, one of the state champions wrestling. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, Mario, as we talk about the season, let's talk about getting your senior year started, and you started off at home with a big home game. It didn't go the way you wanted it to, but just talk about the way everything got started this year, as Coach Howard talked about earlier, just getting this 2014 season underway.
Well, I mean, of course, it was exciting to just get it started because, you work all summer.
Right.
And all that sweat and, your blood and stuff, and you just want to get the season started. You want to get to the fun part,
For sure.
I guess I should say. But, it was a long wait, but once you got it started, it was going. Friday night, we played a tough team, played Pell City.
For sure.
And, like you said, things didn't quite go as we wanted it to, but it went. I think we played pretty good with them for the first 3 quarters, but we kind of just ran out of gas,
Mm-hmm.
But Pell City is a tough team, and I think if we could have a couple plays back here and there, it would be a different ballgame.
You've been playing for a long time. I remember, seeing you as a sophomore out there. Just talk about the experience and everything that you've learned and gained over the course of playing underneath those Friday nights for so many years.
Well, like you said, I've been playing for a while, so I guess some experience, it helps. It helps a lot. And just knowing that when the team goes up on you 7-0, you just can't drop your head.
For sure.
That's what kind of helps me to help the team help them stay up,
For sure.
So don't just drop your head, that we're down 7-0. And when we didn't, we actually went up 7-6 on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that me playing a long time and being around a long time helps a lot.
You had a lot of different head coaches. This is the first time actually you've kept the head coach for a couple different years. Mm-hmm. As a leader, when you see and understand everything from the big picture aspect of it, just talk about just being able to help lead this team through a time where nobody really wants to go through, but it's a nice transition time to a guy like Coach to a guy like Coach Wallace, who's been there for a long time.
Well, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. We getting a new coach because the coach before that, and the last coach, they all told us the same thing. I'm gonna be here next year. I'm gonna be here next year. So when Coach Wallace did come in, he was like, I'm gonna be here next year. And we're like, whatever. Same last guy told us that. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't easy. And then after the J.O. Johnson game, I think we had a break, and we come in, And Coach Wallace is in there. He's like, "Hey, get dressed," and I think that's when it kind of hit everybody. He might actually be here.
Right.
And we never let off the gas. We all the seniors got together and we all said we wanted to get better. Once we realized that he was going to be there, we all said we wanted to get better. And him being here 2 years, I think that helped us out a lot.
We'll talk away from football for just a little bit. You're one of the top wrestlers in the entire state of Alabama. As we go in and you go from one sport to the other on the elite level, talk about just the way that transition is.
It's definitely a big transition because football and wrestling, two different sports, it's really two different shapes. I mean, wrestling is probably the hardest, in my personal opinion, it's the hardest sport ever. And it's fun when you're winning. It's always fun to win. But I mean, it's definitely hard, and like you said, those two championships didn't come easy.
Right.
I had to work my butt off for it, and I like being around. I like helping make the team better. And last year I think we had 4 to actually go to state.
Right.
And I was the only one that plays, and it made me sad. It was like because we worked. It seemed like we worked for nothing, but it all gets better.
Absolutely, Coach Wallace. You've met and known Mario for a long time. Talk about what he brings to the team.
No, first off, you're gonna see that smile every day. He's gonna kind of loosen you up a little bit, and he's got the leadership qualities.
Right.
He had a little knick-knack that he had on his shoulder right at the beginning of the season, and wasn't in practice. But if you didn't watch out, he was where he wasn't supposed to be.
Right.
But he was one of those. He's one of those guys, and. And we've actually moved him from an inside linebacker to an outside linebacker, playing more of DB type stuff and our 4-2-5. And I think that kind of suits him a little bit better. And we found some more depth in our inside linebackers, which they're all young, but we're getting by with what we've got on the inside right now. And as far as athletic ability, man, he's just, I mean, you can't beat him. I mean, one day you'll be in the scout team. He'll get through with running the ball, doing his ball carries, and he'll slip over and he'll get it nose guard or something like that.
Right.
And I mean, he's one of those that's a fighter. It's almost like I always called him. You're like the frog in the stork. You've got your hands around the neck at all times.
Absolutely.
You're never gonna give up.
Right. Coach Howard and Mario, your next battle is against a region opponent for the first time in week 2. You play St. Clair County. Talk about what you know about them.
St. Clair County, I mean, they're going to be a physical football team. I mean, that's why we're going into our mentality. The thing about us is we don't look ahead, and we're taking one game at a time. Last week was our first step. This week will be our second step. Maybe we can get out of the flat and start taking steps forward to where we want to be. They got a good little quarterback that can run the ball. We got a tailback that's pretty versatile. They have a receiver. I think he's number 2, if I'm not mistaken. He can catch the ball very well on the deep routes. They run a little bit of wheel here and there. Defensively, they're in a 4-3 base defense. We'll probably see a little bit more stacked in the box, probably blitz a little bit more than what they did last week.
Absolutely. That's it for the first week of the Lincoln Playbook. Special thanks to Mario Howard and Coach Brad Wallace. We will be back to break down Lincoln versus St. Clair County. Join us next week.